Think you know the animal kingdom? Well, prepare to have your mind blown. This video is about to introduce you to 25 creatures so bizarre, so unbelievable, they defy everything you thought you knew about life here on Earth. From the depths of the ocean to the most remote jungles, get ready to meet the real monsters and marvels of our planet. I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 bizarre beasts you never knew roamed the Earth. But before we begin, as always, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe with the notification bell. With that all being said, let's go discover some aminals. 25. Hallucigenia. First up, the Hallucigenia. The name sounds like a fever dream, and honestly, it's kind of accurate. This cutter looked like a worm that got itself tangled in a cactus. Imagine a tiny worm with ridiculously thin legs jutting out everywhere and with rows of sharp spikes running along its back like some medieval knight's armor. This is definitely not the worm they were trying to gobble down in How to Eat Fried Worms. This extinct spiky spaghetti noodle was strutting through the oceans roughly 508 million years ago during the Cambrian period. For decades, scientists had a full-on "what the heck is this" moment before figuring out which way it was up, where its head was, and how it was supposed to walk. 24. Ambulocetus. Ready to meet another one of the ocean's OG Stranger Things? Let's talk about the Ambulocetus. This prehistoric giant shrimp monster is also from the Cambrian period and is believed to be able to grow a full meter long, so about the size of a baseball bat. Instead of a kinda sorta cute shrimp face though, it had a circular mouth full of teeth that looked like a spinning saw. Fine, as you may have already guessed, it was a predator, but its mouth saw isn't the only way it killed its prey. Its front limbs were long and spiny, which made them perfect for grabbing anything that moved. And its bug-bulging eyes gave it a full 360-degree view of everything around it. On top of that, it was a particularly graceful swimmer, so it would glide through the water instead of flopping around like the shrimp we see today. The only downside? It was fragile. There was a time when scientists thought of it as the T-Rex of the time, but in reality, it would have shattered when it encountered hard shells. 23. Opabinia. One of the other odd creatures that lived through the Cambrian period is the Opabinia. If evolution had a "let's see how weird we can get" button, this creature would be the result. It truly looked like something out of a sci-fi flick. Let's start with its eyes. No, not two. It had 5. Yeah, 5 eyes perched on little stalks all over its head, giving it a true panoramic view with no blind spots. Ever. Does that sound cute? Sure, but it gets worse. The showstopper of this monster is its long, flexible trunk-like appendage. Aw, it's adorable. A wee little elephant with 5 eyes. Wrong. At the end of that trunk weren't little nose holes, it was a claw. This built-in grabber was great for snatching food up from the ocean floor while it wiggled around. Horrific. But even worse is that its mouth faced backwards. This freak of nature used to chill in the Burgess Shale in British Columbia, which was a hotspot for experimental creatures. 22. Xiphactinus. This next oddity was one of the ocean's ultimate predators. It's the Xiphactinus. Jokingly called the prehistoric piranha, this hungry man could grow up to 20 feet long and devour prey its own size in one bite. In fact, it's believed this monstrosity would swallow its victim whole without a second thought. How do we know that? Scientists have fossils that reveal stomachs containing entire fish that were just as big as themselves. These baddies lived in the late Cretaceous period around 70 million years ago and are believed to be a survival of the fittest superstar. Don't be afraid though. They are well and truly extinct, and we don't have to worry about ending up part of the food chain. 21. The elephant bird. You know what? Enough with the ocean for now. Let's go inland and check out a feathered friend that would make Big Bird look meek. I'm talking about the elephant bird. Like Big Bird, this guy was a giant flightless bird. Unlike Big Bird, this guy roamed more than one neighborhood and lived in Madagascar about 1,000 years ago. Standing at 3 meters tall and weighing around half a ton, you wouldn't want to play hide and seek with this fine fella. Nevertheless, it wasn't a predator, nor did it hunt. It spent the day living a slow and steady life, munching on plants, fruits, and seeds. Isn't that the dream? Their claim to fame doesn't come from the bird itself, but actually from the eggs. They were over 30 centimeters long, and one was big enough to make an omelet that could literally feed more than 100 people. Why did they go extinct after lasting so long? People. That's why. We overhunted these feathered friends so much that we destroyed their species and their habitat. 20. The ancient armadillo. Have you ever looked at an armadillo and thought, wow, that's cute. I wonder what it would look like as a giant? Well, if so, today is your day. Back before Ross Geller was the holiday armadillo, about 10,000 years ago, we did have giant armadillos rolling around on Earth. And when I say giant, I mean massive. The ancient armadillo grew to 10 feet long. Named the Glyptodon, this was the ultimate prehistoric tank of the animal kingdom. But it wasn't exactly dangerous. It was a prey animal that relied on its side and fortress-like shell to keep them safe while they munched on leaves and plants and moved slowly from place to place. Much like the elephant birds, it's believed humans are the reason these fellows are no longer with us. They weren't only hunted for their meat, but for their suit of armor too. 19. The giant rhino. Have you ever looked at your Halloween decorations and thought, yeah, I'd love to add in something super weird that looks like a fun mix of a rhino and a mastodon with a set of fangs? Well, I have more great news for you. Look no further than the giant rhino. These guys looked fearsome indeed. Hailing from the Eocene epoch approximately 56 million years ago, these guys had skulls topped with large bony knobs that are thought to be used not just to fight rivals, but to show off. The spikes in their long saber-like canine teeth had them looking quite fierce, even though they were gentle giants. Those fangs weren't used to dig into the flesh of their enemies. They used them to strip vegetation like a prehistoric salad. An interesting fact about them is that they're thought to be one of the first giant mammals. Truly a real heavy hitter of its time. Adorable. 18. The giant ground sloth. Arguably one of the most adorable animals on the planet is the sloth. I'm sure on that we can all agree. Do you think they'd still be adorable if they stretched over 20 feet long and weighed almost as much as an elephant? Would it be extra cute, or would that become super scary? That's what they looked like 10,000 years ago. This creature was so enormous that it would make today's sloths look like pocket pets. Unlike the tree-hugging sloths we know and love today, the giant ground sloth was a ground dweller. Hence the name. It didn't need to climb trees to get a tasty leafy treat. When it was craving a snack, it would just stand up and use its huge claws to strip vegetation. Unfortunately, like most other animals of its time, its extinction is due to the changing climate, and of course, people hunting it for sport. 17. Giant bunny. Sloths aren't the only cuties who used to come supersized like McDonald's fries. Bunnies used to be a whole lot bigger too. Around 4 million years ago, you wouldn't see your average house bunny hopping around. Instead, these rabbits weighed up to 12 kilograms, so the size of your average medium breed dog. Living on the island of Minorca, these hoppers weren't exactly built for speed like their current counterparts, nor did they have long ears or sharp senses. These guys were bigger, had shorter ears, smaller eyes, a stockier build, and they were clumsy. These slow grazers were more of an oversized couch potato than the garden rabbits we have hopping away from danger at lightning speed, because they didn't need to. They lived on an island where they were fairly isolated, and their survival didn't depend on speed, strength, or wit. 16. Zippermouth lizard. Imagine a prehistoric creature that looked like it was designed by a child who was doodling during math class. Yeah, that's exactly what a zippermouth lizard looks like. This creature lived in the seas of China around 247 million years ago. These hideous-looking reptiles were up to 3 meters long, had a skull shaped like a hammerhead, and rows of sharp, chisel-like teeth that were crammed together so tightly they looked like a zipper. Despite looking like a Frankenstein mix of a hammerhead shark and a Hoover vacuum, this guy had a special place in history. Instead of going after other sea creatures, this fellow loved himself a good salad bar and is known as the earliest marine reptile herbivore. On top of that, he loved himself a good dental cleaning. Scientists believe it would press its zipper face against rocks to clean the algae off its teeth. A vegetarian who has good hygiene? Why not? 15. Fishapod. As it turns out, Ariel wasn't the first fish to look at land and think, yeah, that's the life I want to live. Before her, there was the Fishapod. This fish lived around 375 million years ago and is famously thought of as the missing link between fish and land animals. This fish had scales and fins, but it also had a flat crocodile-style head with eyes on top and a neck that could move, a sturdy rib cage that made breathing easier, and bones in its fins that resembled arms, forearms, and wrists. If it wanted to, It could do push-ups on land. Walking, though, well, that's debatable. The hauling itself on land and prop its body to explore swampy environments, it wasn't walking the way we walk. Discovered by Neil Shubin and his team in 2004 and introduced to the world in 2006, this massive breakthrough changed the way we looked at evolution and proved how life made the leap from water to land. In a way, we owe these large freshwater weirdos for our daily walks and our awkward dance moves. 14. Quetzalcoatlus. Have you ever wondered what the largest flying animal in history was? As far as we know, it was the Quetzalcoatlus, or giant pterosaur. This 66 million year old creature is thought to have lived near the end of the dinosaur age. These enormous birds were the size of a plane with a wingspan of about 33 feet and as tall as a giraffe. Did it actually fly, though? That's debatable. Some scientists believe it flew like an albatross, while others theorize it rocked forward like a vampire bat. Others, though, don't believe it actually flew at all. The newest research has it leaping 8 feet into the air before using its wings to glide into flight. This feathered skyscraper was a predator without teeth. It used its beak to snatch up small animals on land and would steal fish from lakes and rivers to feast upon. 13. The giant sea scorpion. 390 million years ago, there was a scorpion on Earth more terrifying than the ones playing in the desert, just waiting to crawl into your boot and sting your toes. This one could have practically eaten you whole. The giant sea scorpion could grow to over 9 feet long and is on record as the largest arthropod ever discovered. This gigantic creepy crawler of the ancient seas is truly nightmare fuel. With a body that had a segmented exoskeleton made to look like armor plating, and huge pinchers, this monster would propel through coastal waters with its paddle-like limbs and search for prey with zero competition. Scientists believe its size is attributed to the oxygen levels in the water and atmosphere being higher at the time than it is now. Is it a good thing we have less oxygen now? Well, probably not, but at least we don't have to be afraid of a ginormous scorpion attacking us, so there's that. 12. Spikeback shark. Now for something we can all enjoy. Meet the spikeback shark. This prehistoric fish has a great sense of humor. Swimming into the history books 360 million years ago, this tiny guy only grew to about 3 feet long and sported an anvil-shaped dorsal fin covered in tiny spines. Picture a shark with a built-in ironing board on its back and you'll get the idea. What's up with that weird fin? Scientists' best guess is that it likely had a few tricks up its sleeve. Was it used to attract mates? Maybe. Intimidate rivals? Possibly. Was it awkward-looking camouflage? Perhaps. Could it have been just a weird biological fashion statement? Probably. Pair that fin with its strange teeth and you got a mini monster ready to scare modern-day researchers. Their chompers aren't like sharks today. They weren't designed for crunching shells or anything hard. They were more like tiny spears lining its jaw and arranged in a slightly curved pattern, which helped it snag some soft and slimy prey. They weren't the fastest. They weren't the best predators. And they definitely weren't the best swimmers. But this weird fish with a fin certainly was packed with personality. 11. The Elvis dinosaur. Have you ever heard of the Elvis dinosaur? This was the dinosaur that proves that even 190 million years ago, evolution had a flair for style. This Antarctic dweller was discovered in 1991 by William R. Hammer, and while it marked the first carnivorous dinosaur found in the area, everyone promptly noticed the resemblance to the King of Rock, Elvis Presley. This dude was around 23 feet long, the dinosaur, not Elvis, making it one of the largest predators of its time. And it was a prehistoric fashionista with its dramatic pompadour-shaped crest. So good, Elvis would be asking for styling tips. Think a T-Rex with a rock star hairdo. It didn't just eat prey. It probably gave them a wink and a hair flip first. 10. The Madagascar killer dinosaur. Want to learn about a cannibal dinosaur? Sure you do. That's exactly what we believe the Madagascar killer dinosaur was. These big freaks lived about 70 million years ago and were not afraid of going hungry. They not only munched on smaller ancient lizards, but also used their own kind as dino nuggets. Yes, we know this, and yes, we know this for sure because fossilized bones show bite marks that match their own teeth, making it one of the very few dinosaurs that ate their own kind. Well, doesn't that take family recipes to another level? They weren't just not so picky eaters. They were a top predator in their ecosystem. They were as big as 23 feet long with a short, stout, bulldog-looking skull that made it look a little funny, but those jaws were deadly serious. 9. Ambulocetus. 48 million years ago, there was once a type of whale that didn't lock itself down to life in the ocean. It often visited land too. This fella had a long crocodile-like body, webbed feet, and tail that was built for swimming. Not only was it a master of the water, but it loved sneaking over to the shores to snatch prey right off the shoreline, by getting out of the water like a modern-day crocodile. This real multitasker could do it all, and gave us some fantastic insight into the evolution of whales and how the species in modern times truly came to be. Nowadays, if you see a whale out of water, it incites mass panic, as beachgoers band together to try and drag it back out to sea to save its life. Back then, though, this habitat hopper was happy basically anywhere. If it had a dating profile on Hinge, it would read, half whale, half croc, 100% weird. 8. Leeds megafish. In 1886, British fossil collector Alfred Leeds came across a stunning find when he happened upon the largest bony fish in history. Little did he know, this was the remnants of an enormous 52-foot-long Jurassic fish that lived around 165 million years ago. It's not just the size of this sea monster that makes it special. These fish were plankton eaters and used special gill rakers to filter tiny organisms from the water. Named for its finder, the Leeds megafish closely resembles a whale, but with fins instead of flippers. While it wasn't a danger to the other marine animals around it, imagine how scared the plankton were when they saw that polite diner coming. With its massive size, it would require a plankton buffet the size of a city block to feel satisfied. 7. The Paleo shark. Way back in 1889, paleontologist John Strong Newberry came across a wild discovery when he unearthed a strange fossil that would later be dubbed the Paleo shark. This torpedo-shaped fishy find from North America preserved so many details, scientists were able to not only see its cartilaginous skeleton, but even hints of soft tissue. With strong jaws and multi-cusped teeth and a smooth, scaleless body, this ocean predator may not be one of the biggest, thought to only be around 3 to 6 feet long, but it was tough. It was able to bite into the great whites and use its fin spines to keep its own predators at bay. The Paleo shark was the ancient ocean's sneaky ninja. A shark that wasn't the size of a bus, but built for intimidation and speed. 6. The king lizard. A lizard called a king lizard that's not actually a lizard at all? Yes, that existed. This creature lived about 41 million years ago, and despite its name, it's actually a giant prehistoric whale. What a way to give a guy an identity crisis. To be fair, scientists originally thought it was some kind of massive reptile because it doesn't exactly give off whale vibes. The king lizard doesn't look anything like the whales we know today. With its snake-like shape, it looks more like a sea serpent that could grow up to 60 feet long. A humongous eel with flippers, if you will. Weird, right? What's even weirder is that it had teeny tiny, useless back legs. Why? We don't know. It's almost like they were leftover body parts with zero function. Nevertheless, it's thought to be one of the biggest underwater bullies of its time. It relied on its size, speed, and powerful jaw full of strange, rigid teeth to take down its prey. 5. The Giraffe-Necked reptile. Alright, let's dive into the strangest reptiles to ever slither across the Triassic world. This one is dubbed the Giraffe-Necked reptile because its 13 super-stretched vertebrae neck was so ridiculously long, it was actually longer than the rest of its body. This beast was so weird that at first scientists thought the fossils were pieces of flying reptiles or some sort of crocodile tail. Nope. This ridiculously designed creature used its giraffe neck to snatch out fish and squid without having to move its body at all. It was basically a fishing pole with teeth. These monsters lived about 242 million years ago and hung out around Europe, Asia, and North America. It wasn't a dinosaur per se, but is actually thought to be a creature that has since given rise to crocs, birds, and dinos. Again, the creature is not the shoes. 4. Saccorhytus Coronarius. Now for something truly bizarre. Meet the Saccorhytus Coronarius. This weirdo had a huge mouth, no anus, and had the honor of being our earliest ancestor. Yeah, I said what I said. These monsters lived about 540 million years ago when life on Earth was just starting to get creative. And by creative, I mean the world was designing the wildest and weirdest things we can even imagine, and these definitely fit that bill. The Saccorhytus resembles a living stress ball with one giant hole in the middle. It's thought to live off tiny organic bits off the ocean floor, but without an exit hole, everything that went in its mouth came back out the same way. Sounds fun. Remember that South Park episode where they were all pooping out of their mouths? Yeah, this fella actually lived that life. What makes this even stranger is that it's thought to be one of the earliest deuterostomes, and that makes it an ancient relative of vertebrates such as birds, whales, and even us. Yep, your great-great-great-great-great-grandsack was a tiny mouth with no bum. Think about that the next time you complain about your family tree. While it looks like something your vacuum cleaner coughs up, it's truly a huge deal in the story of evolution. 3. The alien goldfish. Our next truly mysterious creature is the alien goldfish. That sounds adorable and kind of terrifying, and it was. These tiny soft-bodied fish-like beings swam across the oceans around 330 million years ago and are thought to have settled mostly around North America. At first glance at its fossils, they look like tiny fish, but scientists have no idea what it actually was. The weirdest part of these guys was its huge mouth. It was thought to eat tiny eel-like animals called conodonts. Even stranger was that it had a tooth ribbon in its stomach, which was like a tiny comb used to grab onto food. This places them less in the fish category and more into the group of snails and squid. Small, weird, and kinda gross, the tiny alien-looking snack machine shows how strange early sea life could get. 2. The largest known turtle. In today's world, we have leatherback turtles that can grow to 9 feet and weigh up to 2,000 pounds. That's nothing compared to 80 million years ago. Back then, there were Archelon turtles that could grow up to 15 feet, with flippers that stretched over 13 feet wide. What makes them even more unique is that they didn't have a hard, bony shell like our turtles do today. Instead, they were covered in a leathery, rigid carapace and were supported by a lightweight skeleton. Big and beautiful, these turtles had powerful beak-like jaws that were ready to chomp down on shellfish, squid, and anything else that wasn't fast enough to get away. This guy was the size of a small car, could glide gracefully through the seas, and proved that during prehistoric times, the motto was definitely bigger is better. 1. Titanokorys Gainesi. For our final monster, we're checking out the spaceship-shaped predator called Titanokorys Gainesi. These ancient sea creatures lived about 500 million years ago and were truly the T-Rex of their time. This monster was tiny for the period, only growing up to 7 inches long, but despite its size, it packed quite the punch. This stealthy alien cruiser was full of spiny rake-like arms, a circular tooth-lined mouth, and sported a helmet-like carapace that covered not only its head, but most of its body. It would grab, crush, and gobble dinner all while looking like a UFO. These little beasts were the sharks of their time, just with way stranger bodies. And that's all I got for you today. But do you want more nightmare fuel before you fall asleep tonight? Then you need to check out our video 25 most bizarre fossils ever discovered and let me know which one made your skin crawl the most. I'll link it in the description below and should be somewhere over here shortly. And as always, you know what? I got a trivia question for you. This one is for my animal-loving friends. Which of these marine animals has the largest brain relative to its body size? And can you answer this without Google? Is it A, a dolphin, B, an octopus, C, a whale shark, or D, a blue whale? Make sure to put your answers in the comments, and before you go, like I said before, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any of our videos. And I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.